Yeah, if we are building around reverse, no, rewind, not reverse. So,
around Mushmore?
Yeah, around Mushmore. I do give permission to leave that in if you want, or to pull that.
That's going to be the clip.
Yeah, that's going to be the clip.
That's going to be the clip.
Yeah.
Riley comes in. Angel City on the board.
Corner kick presented by Cedar Sinai.
Shifty work into the box. And across, it's in! Oh, it's Lulu! It's a dream return!
Welcome to Casual FC, an Angel City preview pod. I'm your host, Mario Salazar, with the defense-loving, t-shirt-making co-host, Angela Morales, and our very first guest on the pod. So, woo woo!
Woo!
Eva Friedman, welcome.
Yeah. Hi,
And
hello.
Yes, and as many of our loyal listeners, I think we have, like, due to metrics, maybe about like 4 people that like fully listen. I might be one of them, but that's cool. It's growing. You might recognize Eva as Angela's girlfriend and knowledge of most things soccer behind the scenes. So really glad to have both of them on for this. If you read the description before, or the title at least before you started playing, our retirement retrospective episode. You know, usually we call these special episodes, you know, the few that we've had, we call them like the casual guide to, and then, you know, we did the whole like Women's World Cup and Group A and you know, it kind of lent itself to that. This is a little bit more of a kind of special focused episode, so I don't know, we might call it the casual focus episode. I don't know, we'll workshop it, we'll figure it out before it actually goes up.
An episode?
Exactly.
Yes.
Just casually retiring.
Someone's going to Google like casually retire and think they're going to hear a podcast about like how to quiet retire. And then it's just going to be all about soccer.
Yeah. Which will be great because then they'll learn something brand new.
Yeah, indoctrinate them.
Yeah. So as we're kind of hinting to or walking around right now, today we're going to be talking about some amazing players in the kind of women's soccer world. And as the show is, I am the casual here, so I am still learning about these amazing players, and a lot of them are heading out. So I'm like, just caught the tail end of it. But they've all decided.
But you got to see it.
But I got to see it, which was great. And I got to see it in that World Cup, which was amazing. So yeah, we're going to be talking about some players that have decided to hang up their boots this year, the impact that they've had, you know, on the game, and, you know, to our hearts, especially for you two. And I know, you know,
let's see, this is another Will Angela cry episode. It's a toss-up. I'm having a decent day so far. So
what's the over-under? We're recording in the middle of the day, so, you know, maybe it's not like as moody and dark.
Yeah, like I haven't like experienced a full day yet. It's only what, 2 o'clock right now.
Yeah. So
also, real quick, with that said, today, the day we were recording, we normally like don't say what day we're recording, but it's September 20th, and I just want to make a point that today, 50 years ago, is when Billie Jean King played the Battle of the Sexes against Bobby Riggs, beat him in 3 straight sets, and effectively changed women's sports forever. Kind of put women's sports on the map, brought up equal pay before it was popular, like brought women's sports to the spotlight before it was popular. But yeah, it's an important day. That's all. I just wanted to make sure people who knew or who listened, even if you're listening on a different day, is that it's incredibly important.
Yes, important day, and one of our owners, right?
Yeah. She's an investor.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
Angela and I sometime joked, you know, both offline or pre-recording or post-recording. I think today is very much going to be true to form, where we say, you know, Casual FC for us has been equal parts footy talk and therapy session. And today is going to be a nice therapy session for y'all.
It's a good one.
So with that, which one of you wants to take the first person on our list?
I think we're kind of going to tag team.
Okay.
All of these.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to say.
I'm going to be soaking it all in.
I think the first person on the list and the last person on our list, just in our notes, not that that's necessarily the exact order we'll talk about them in, but I think the two of them typically are like a perfect segue out of talking about them and Billie Jean King and such.
Yeah. So the first person we want to talk about is one that we just recently saw against Angel City again in Megan Rapinoe when we played the Reign. Like I said on the Reign episode, if you think she's controversial, that's nice. I don't care. Like, get with it. She has had over 200 caps thus far with the women's national team. She has the game tomorrow on the 21st and then the game on the 24th left. She'll hang it up at 225 caps, which is a lot. She has had a prolific career, and she's just kind of been one of the mainstays of the national team without a lot of people really understanding that. She has been part of Team USA Soccer since 2003, which she's a year older than me, and so the same age as Mario, which is why whenever people talk about how old these women are, I want to scream.
Wait.
But they're all older than me.
Wait, Rapinoe and I are the same age? What? Okay, yeah. It's not like I'm like Googling everybody's age whenever I'm like watching them, but
you two are 2 months apart.
Oh man, her joints must hurt like crazy then if like my joints hurt.
Right, it's like I'm a normal person and my body hurt. You have been doing this for what? For how long and why? And but Pino she started with Team USA's U20 team in 2003 and got the call up to the senior team, which is like the quote unquote adult team, in 2006, and has just been on the team since then, which is insane to have an almost 20-year career on a national team in any country, but especially this one.
Yeah,
I mean, most people are going to recognize her by the hair.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, at least that's where my first thing goes.
Yeah.
And the argument about was it pink or purple during the World Cup?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. A lot of people within the last 5 years, let's say, have really started to pay attention to Pino because of her work and her appearances, I would say, outside of soccer, especially the last 5 years, because of how loudly she advocates and really just stands up for a lot of marginalized groups. She was one of the first professional athletes to kneel after Colin Kaepernick did. It took a hell of a lot of flack for that. She has done a ton of work for the LGBTQIA plus community, voting rights, equal pay. I know I'm missing things. Sustainability, like all kinds of stuff. She's just kind of got her hands in everything, which led to receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Joe Biden last year in 2022.
I think when you think about Megan Rapinoe, especially the last couple of years, it's kind of impossible to put into words what she has meant for soccer, not just in America, but globally. And I don't know that we'll really be able to understand her legacy for a very, very long time. She's I
completely agree.
Yeah, she's really just put all of herself into trying to leave this space better than when she found it. And, with the 2019 World Cup, that clip of her saying that she wasn't going to the White House, that had been out for months already. That was not something new. It got resurrected right before the World Cup. And to be able to have the president tweeting, talking shit about you, like, of your country is like calling you out on social media, and you put in the performance that she did with all of that going on and all of the hell that she was getting. I think it's just incredible, and I don't know that you can really separate off the field and on the field with her. I think it all coincides. And I mean, just she's one of the pillars of women's soccer in America, I think, and will continue to be for a very long time.
Yeah, I agree. There's no separating, she's not two different people. She's not the player on the pitch that's super intense and then the completely opposite or, just different off the pitch. It's no. Rapinoe is Rapinoe. Yes. It only took my phone like 2 times to when I spelled it, Pinot with an E, that I wasn't saying Pinot like the wine. So I mean, even my iPhone was like, "Yep, I know who you're talking about."
Yeah, she's just cool. And in looking up notes and things like this, I had forgotten that after the 2015 World Cup, I believe, when the team went to, I believe, the White House, President Obama made a point to call out the fact that in Northern California, a farm had actually built a corn maze in her face. They made a corn maze for that fall, but they made it in the shape of Pino's face. So that's she's right. Wow. I want to be a corn maze. That's what. But she is from Redding in Northern California, and just she's been so like I said, she's a stalwart, but she's been just so prolific, both in her soccer career, her personal life. She did a major thing, which I think a lot of people outside of California may not have known. After Paradise, it's a city up in Northern California, this little tiny town, was basically decimated by one of the wildfires that hit Northern California a couple of years ago. She immediately jumped on board and started raising money, trying to get food, water, electricity, anything she could to get eyes and get money and get help to the folks who remained, because people were killed through the fire. It was one of those where they got the alert that there's a wildfire, and within, I think, an hour, the city was gone. And Pinot was one of the first people to really show up for a neighboring city, for her hometown. And it's I'm looking right now, and it's not even on her Wikipedia page that she did this. And it was one of those things that it just happened, where she was here's a link to go to the fundraising sites for different families, different businesses, all kinds of stuff. And it was just get these people help immediately. So it's the littlest things like that, a town of a couple hundred people that is decimated, to voting rights, women's rights, protections, and equal rights for the Black community. The gay, it's just, we could have a whole 2-hour episode on Pinot alone and probably not talk about everything.
Yeah, and she never seems scared to lend her voice. I think back to, and this is so basic in comparison to everything, but in 2015, and I can't remember whether it was before or after the World Cup win, but I believe it was her, Abby Wambach, and Kriegs were on some sort of talk show or something, and they were given whiteboards and asked to describe themselves in one word. And Pinot just flips hers around and yells, "Gay!" And it has exclamation points. And it was almost 10 years ago. It's not that long ago, but things were in such a different place. Mm-hmm. And she's just always been willing to be loud. She's not nervous or hesitant about being the loudest person in the room for the things that matter. And I think that's kind of, the thing that I'll always remember her for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's one of those things, too, where when you're looking at somebody's public career, it's really easy to just let it happen. And just, you show up, basically, it's the equivalent to just showing up, clocking in, doing your work, and clocking out and going home. There's hundreds of thousands of athletes that do that, and it's completely fine. It's a job at the end of the day. But to not only excel at the craft that you've perfected over your life, but, oh God, here it comes. I'm already crying. I just was oh, my voice is going to crack.
I couldn't believe you did
10 minutes in. What'd you say?
I couldn't believe you didn't cry when talking about Billie Jean King.
I came close. But no, like, to put that much work in and then to do it like when you're off work too. It's so much. Do you want to talk about how great of a soccer player she is? So I can stop crying?
I mean, when you think about her on the field, it's all about the crosses. Alex crosses to Abby. There's so many, iconic moments that she is like kind of right in the center of. And I think, her corner kicks, like, she's just a special player. And thinking to the 2019 World Cup, I mean, just like, what is there even to say about her on that team, on the pitch? Like, it was as good of a World Cup performance as anyone could dream of. Yeah. I don't know what she could have done better or anything. Not that she needed to, because we won. What a lovely memory. I remember winning the World Cup. Back
in my day.
Yeah, back when we had trophies still. But she, and again, with all of that pressure, it just kind of never seems to matter what the moment is. You can pretty much always count on her to rise to it.
Yeah.
And I think that is just, it's one thing to be an athlete in any sport who wants the ball in a big moment. It's another thing to be an athlete who can execute, like 9 out of 10 times. You put the ball in their hands and you're going to get the result you want. And to have done it for as long as she has, at the level that she has, it's so impressive. And it's such, she's leaving the field on such a good note.
Yeah, way, way, way better than she found it.
Absolutely.
And on many, many different levels.
So from one megastar in the WOSO community to another, we've got Julie Ertz on our list next. And I'm getting like...
Yeah, I hate this. I hate this so much.
There's such a loud voice in my head screaming, "It's not happening. You're lying. It's not happening. We're not doing it yet."
I mean, with the fact that Julie Ertz was, unfortunately, on our team, that's where I'm most familiar with her. And because she was on our team, that's when I started learning about, like, she took time off to have her kid. Then there was this whole talk about, like, it, especially in our little world, like, we had her rights, but we don't have a contract, and back and forth. And then seemed to be like a huge get, when it was like, she's coming to LA. So my WOSO knowledge of her is fairly recent.
Buckle
but both
You're
of you
gonna learn today.
But when we started getting closer, both of you just started shaking your heads. So bring it on. No. Let's go. No, I'm here to learn.
I thought when she hadn't signed with a team for this season, I think Angela and I had spoken a lot about, like, maybe she's just done. And I had kind of resigned
yourself.
Yeah, I had really, like, made my peace with it, because this is all about me. This had, like, this is just about how this affects me. I think it think of me when she made this decision, but, I really did the work, and I was at peace. And I was like, you know what? Good for her, making the decision she needs to make. And then she came back. And then she came back with Angel City. And
then she broke Eva's heart.
Well, before we get there, it was such a joy. I think, what was it, 4 games? I think if you can have Julie Ertz on your team for 4 games, you take Julie Ertz on your team for 4 games, she can make any team better.
I think she effectively changed our entire midfield, like, what is the word? Methodology. Like,
yeah,
everything shifted when JJ came back.
Yeah, I mean, for as hard as anyone works during any game of any sport, it's still hard to think of someone who works harder when they're when they're in the game than Julie Ertz. So she came in, and it's really hard to imagine that there wasn't an impact in the locker room as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you have someone who works that hard, regardless of how hard you're working, you're gonna push it a little bit more
to that level.
Yeah, and then she makes the World Cup roster, and that was understandably, kind of a question mark for fans of any level. I think we all were like, okay, like let's see. I hope this is the right call. And when that first game back with Angel City, she was Julie Ertz.
She was Julie effing Ertz. Is what was that like?
It was like we had also just seen her play a week ago. She just came out and was ready. She was doing the slide tackles, playing hard. And then I think about, we get to the World Cup, and after the first game, they ask about, the emotions which a very fair question. I would have asked,
this is my favorite thing.
Yeah, you've been away from the national team. You just, your son is here. What are you feeling? She looks this journalist dead in the eye, into his soul. And the only emotions I feel are grit and determination. And I'm not an athlete. I'm not playing against her, and even I got scared. There's something about Julie Ertz just going all in that is absolutely terrifying. And it's such a joy to have her on her team, and I'm so glad that we as Angel City fans got to see her last NWSL minutes. I so hope that she swings by for the last home game, maybe does the 3 clap, lets us give her a little extra love on the way out.
Hopefully we do get a good send-off with her.
At least just let us as a fan base say bye, something.
Yeah, when she announced after the World Cup, talking about how it might have been her last game, I was like, oh, I hope that doesn't mean, total retirement. And then it came out, and, more than anything, I just want to say, how happy I am for her.
Yeah.
To go out while you're playing still as Julie Ertz. There was today they're doing press for her last game, and before we started recording, I was watching, and she was saying, it's not about Mama can't play anymore, because Mama can play. And it's this is not about, she can't do it anymore. And I think she so deserves, given the career she had, to make that choice for herself and to not be in a moment where, her body's failing her and she has to leave. She's choosing to walk away and say, you know what? I've done it. I can leave and feel good. And I mean, what else is there that she could have done? I mean, the only thing is an NWSL championship. Oh, wait. Sorry to all the Chicago fans listening. That probably really feeling. But, I think about passing the torch, and in years and years and years and years and years ago, she captained one of the youth nationals teams to a World Cup gold, and the national team YouTube channel did an interview. They were having camp where the national team was playing, or I think they were in Santa Clara or something, but she was talking with Christy Rampone, and Christy says, you're going to be out there one day. And Julie is like, yeah, maybe. And Christy says, yeah, and I'll be watching.
Okay, I need some context here.
I know, I'm trying not to.
So I just made a face of just how dare you say that?
Yeah, it was the first. Her last World Cup was 2015. Captain of the team. General badass defender. I believe this is directly her quote. If if we score, we might win. If they don't score, we can't lose, which I think really sums up the defensive mindset, especially at that time and everything.
Yeah.
So Christy was very important to women's soccer in America. Part of, I don't necessarily want to say old guard, but, definitely
The
one of
99ers, she's big time.
I don't think she was 99.
Yeah.
Was she? Because she played until I think she was 40 something for Sky Blue.
Yeah, she played. I'm looking it up right now just so we get it right. But she played for Sky Blue over the course of Sky Blue because she was on Magic Jack for a while. But she has over 110 caps for Sky Blue and over 300 for the national team.
Yeah, so tremendously important player. And
Christy
that
Rampone is different.
Yeah, and JJ coming out for the 2015 World Cup and really making a statement, showing us who she is, really starting what was just the most incredible relationship with Becky Sauerbrunn as our center backs, and then eventually moving into the midfield. And it's it was so amazing having her as a center back, and she was so incredible in that role that it was oh, I can't believe we're going to do this and we're going to pull her out of that. And then we put her in the midfield and she's a goal scoring machine. It somehow managed to get better. She's just had such an incredible career. And I feel like I'm saying the same things over and over again because I don't know what else to say other than she's just been incredible. And I think her career with the national team is just what anyone would hope for themselves.
Yeah, she essentially did what everyone wants to do but can't, and kind of made herself irreplaceable on the national team. And really, she can do anything. Eva just said that. We all kind of know it. But JJ on the pitch, you have, I don't know, a 40% higher chance of winning because she's going to break up every single freaking play that comes within a 20-foot radius of her. She's going to be there as a key factor for set pieces and corner kicks, and she's going to head the ball in every which way direction. She's going to tackle the shit out of you. There are very few defenders and midfielders that could even come close to comparing, I think. And that's not to say that people aren't as good or better or whatever, but the versatility of JJ is the big part for me anyway.
Yeah, and when she went out, I think it was the MCL tear and then the pregnancy, that period without her, you felt it. It was had a very important piece missing. And I think to do that for not just at the national team level, but specifically for the U.S. women's national team is so unbelievable. Yeah. And I mean, it's so hard not to be sad that she's done. Mm-hmm. It's just such a pleasure to watch. I think we're all so lucky to have been able to root for her, at whatever level we have, whether that was if you're a Clara fan, ACFC, national team, maybe Chicago people are listening. I don't know if you are. Hi.
I don't know. We might have some Chicago people. I know we got some Chicago listeners when we did our Chicago recap. So
yeah, we'll throw it up on their Reddit and see what happens. But yeah,
and see what happens.
Chicago felt it. It's, I think every game from here on out for the next couple of years, there are going to be so many moments where, in the back of fans' heads, is oh, I wish we still had JJ. Yeah. I wish she was still here. She would have taken care of that, or she would have put that one. I think you could just, and like I said it with Pino a little bit too, you could just always count on her, and that's so special.
Yeah. And I think too, even though we're going to have those, oh man, I miss watching JJ play moments on the national level, the transition from Julie Ertz to Naomi Girma is beautifully transitioned situation. Yeah. Like, there is no one maybe more stoic than like Becky Sauerbrunn and JJ than Naomi Girma. Like, the three of them are cut from the same cloth of defensive mindset, win at all cost mindset, like just hold down the fort on the back line. Those three, stellar.
That was hot.
Okay. That's amazing. I mean, I will say that from the casual fan and from the ACFC fan, I'm a little butthurt that, you know, she called it when she called it and basically didn't come back at all. So I am hoping that the Angel City fans, and I've seen a lot of upset fans online wishing that she would come back and kind of give us like a chance to give her flowers, right?
Yeah.
I think that's how I can see that's how deep Julie is in the WOSO community to the fans. I think I think there was like a little like, okay, she put a dagger in us when she's out. And then she kind of twisted it a little bit when she's like, oh, wait, no, I'm back for one more for the national team. And that little twist was especially felt here in LA. So hopefully she gets, you know, hopefully there's plans, there's an idea. And you know what? There's no blaming or there's reason to knock her for any decisions made. I mean, her decisions were her decisions. Being able to spend time with like family, her kid's only a year old. Like, it's very, I mean, I've got, you know, 2 little ones that I'm like, yes, it's very important, especially very early on. So yeah, no, there's absolutely no reason to be upset with her, except for the fact that she didn't give me a chance to say goodbye. I'm totally happy that she's very much pulling a Costanza, just leaving on top while everybody's like happy with you and being like, I am done. You know, I'm with you, Eva, that, you know, it's way better that she's leaving now, having done what she's done, rather than at a point where her body is completely breaking down because she pushed it too far. And right. Now it's like you know, the last year of your career was, you know, just full of injuries and full of whatever. It's like, no, you left with seven amazing games, which I looked up. It's 7 games that we got a chance to see Julie with Angel City, and, you know, all of her time with the national team. So, yeah, good on you, Lee. 122.
And the thing
Not
is,
bitter
too,
at
I
all.
think the harder part is that, like, with Rapinoe, you will still see her. You will still know she is very involved with things. JJ is not like that. Like, she's going to go, and she's quieter. She's a lot less in the public eye by choice. So I think that's part of the pain, is that, like, I mean, for me, especially as a WNBA fan, like, I'm going to see Pino because she's going to be there with Sue at games, what have you. Like, Pino's everywhere in my interests, be it politics or sports, because that's just the overlap that my brain lives in. But JJ just isn't. And I'm like, ugh. But yeah, that's my piece on it. Thanks.
I know I personally have a huge amount of pride for the fact that she finished her career in an Angel City jersey and got to close out in a really good environment, really great team, and special fan base. So let's do this right.
Yeah. So Julie, if you're listening, come back. Let us give you a send off.
Yeah, absolutely. Let every single person at BMO, like, give you your dues. I'm crying again.
Oh, so, well, with the Waterworks just starting with Angela here, we're going to go to someone that started off the Will Angela Cry on the episode, was when we talked about Ellie Krieger.
Oh, God.
Kriegs has... Yeah, there was, I think this is us making do to when we were talking about Ellie in our preview episode.
On the Gotham episode.
Yeah, and you started like tearing up. You cried. And then you're like, you know what? No, this is for another. We'll talk about her on another podcast. And here it is.
Yep, it's that time. And thankfully, I have my girlfriend who can talk for me when it comes to Ali Krieger.
I don't know if I can. This is like, you know, when you watch a new sport or even just a new team and you don't know that much about it and you're just watching and like you don't recognize anyone's names and you just see someone playing and you're like, that one, you're my favorite. That was Ali Krieger for me when I got into women's soccer around like a little bit before the 2015 World Cup. I want to reiterate, I did not know literally anything about her. That decision was not motivated by any personality traits or who she is as a person or who she ended up marrying. She was or is just so freaking fast. I think at one point there was like a crazy stat that she ran like at the speed of a horse. Like there was like she's just stupid fast. And you think about the PK in the 2011 quarterfinals against Brazil that she put in the back of the net to take the team to the semifinals. That comes after quarterfinals, right? Semifinals?
Yes.
Yeah. And, in 2016, she had a dope goal for Washington Spirit to send them to the finals or to help send them to the finals. And she's a Champions League winner. She's just present in so many huge moments. And, I think the word that comes to mind for me as a fan very specifically of her is tenacity. For those who don't know, after 2015, or I guess after 2016, she was kind of just like removed from the national team. Was confusing for everyone.
Reasons unknown.
Yeah, for reasons unknown. She's been pretty open about the fact that, she still doesn't have any sort of a reason or whatever. And then, at the 11th hour, she gets the call, you're coming to 2019. And to have spent the prior 2 years of what, just a hard time that had to have been so difficult. And she spent those 2 years staying ready. And to, the final touch of the World Cup was the ball at her feet.
Yep.
You think to the player reaction when she had her 100th cap celebration, finally. And it's just so clear that she's such a special person and such a special player. And it's hard to think about not watching her play anymore. It's, she's kind of the one that I was like, oh, you're like, I understand this now. Like, I get why people love this. Like this makes so much sense. And, saying goodbye to that is, I think generally speaking, the wave of players that we're starting to say goodbye to is just going to be so difficult because a lot of these players were people's entrance to the team. And, if you think about 2015, we're talking Kelly O'Hara, Becky Sauerbrunn, Kriegs, Carly Lloyd, not Lindsey Horan. She's a little too young for that, but we get the point. But it's a lot of the players that we fell in love with and that brought us into this sport. And I think, I do want to point out that the way that both Ali and Ashlyn were treated before they publicly declared their relationship was really shitty. Nobody should ever be pressured for information about their private and personal life, and especially not their sexuality. The fact that they didn't just say like, okay, yeah, we're a couple, we're engaged and we're going to get married, and then like never talk about it again. The fact that they like, I would have understood. I would have totally understood if they were like, you know what, fine, we'll say it. Here, you got what you wanted. And then like close the doors again. But instead they both, they just became advocates and sharing the wedding video, and they just took so much responsibility for what they had the potential to do for young queer fans. And that is something that I will just always have so much gratitude for. The way that
like
they
kind of,
but especially Kriegs just stepped up and really owned it. And, just continued to be such a bright light in women's soccer.
Yeah, and like people will joke within the community about how either together or separately, Crashland, so Ali Krieger and Ashlyn Harris were their like awakening moment. But like it is very much a joke, but it is also very real. Or like it changed the way you saw people, women, sports, like the two of them alone, but like Kriegs especially, like it's a shift because I think a lot of people see female athletes assume sexuality and then assume how you present yourself in public. And for Kriegs to be so like hyper feminine and so stunningly gorgeous every single day she walks outside, like I don't get it. I don't know how.
It's offensive.
It's offensive to be that attractive. But like it's one of those things where it shook people's understanding of what a queer couple could look like, what female athletes could look like, what is expected of them, all that kind of stuff. And it's just one of those things that even now, like the Crashland move from Orlando and the Pride to Gotham is also part of their advocacy.
Was huge
because they wanted to make sure that their kids were being brought up in an area that would accept them, both with, having two moms, being Black, being adopted. Like they wanted to make sure that their kids would be welcomed, and they knew that the climate in Florida where they were was not conducive to that on any level. And it was very much we got to get out. Granted, it was also during the like Orlando Pride fire sale, which nobody knows what happened with that. But we got Allie Riley and Sid, and so it works out. But like, like they made sure to protect their family and protect each other and the community in that sense. After the shooting at Pulse, they rallied around the community. Orlando as a whole really came together. The Pride's fan base, like they have dedicated seats in their arena in a rainbow. Like it is important. And to have like Ali Krieger out there waving the flag, commentating the men's game, like she's such an icon at every level. Like she's going to be an amazing commentator. She already is. And I think in retirement, that's just going to grow.
And maybe a coach.
She does have coaching licenses.
I don't know what level, but she's got her coaching license. I think one way or another, this isn't the last we're going to see of her in the game. And something that I meant to kind of start with. And again, to be clear, this is information she has put out. I am not like sharing classified rumors or whatever, but, when she was in college playing at Penn State, she had blood clots in her leg and like very literally almost died when she spoke about it for one of the like Meet the 23 players for 2015. So you can find that clip of her talking about it, on YouTube. But, she was told like if you had gone to sleep tonight, like in your bed, you wouldn't have woken up. And I just think about like how lucky we are as fans. Not that this is all she has to give. Obviously, I'm just glad that anyone's alive. I think like I'm not exclusively happy for soccer players to be alive, but to know that there's someone on the field who kind of saw their life flash before their eyes. And I think for me, in the way she plays, you could kind of feel the like, I'm alive, I'm happy to be here. And that is just so special to have watched for so many years. And I'm so, so grateful, that we got to have her on our team. Right? We've been able to root for her for so long. And I just can't wait to see what she does next. Because I think whatever it is, she's going to be incredible.
All right. Well, anything else for Ali Krieger you guys want to?
I didn't cry.
No.
I started to, and then I like cried quietly.
I held it together.
Yeah, we did it. We got through one.
Okay. All right. So you got through one, and now we're gonna hit the last one on our list, and let's see how this one goes.
I can already tell you it's not going to go well.
And this is brutal.
Well, thanks for being on this episode and talking about like the saddest things.
I know, I'm just gonna like stare at the wall for a couple hours in silence after.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a couple hours in silence and nice reflection, because you got to talk through a lot of it. But now we're getting to the one player on our list.
Hold on, one thing I forgot to say. I should mention that Allie Krieger is the first women's soccer jersey that I purchased. That feels, for some reason, important to mention here. Just such a special ambassador for the sport.
I mean, I will say
I've actually done.
I will say I've never actually bought a player jersey.
What?
I have a thing about, and Angela and I have talked about this, but I have a thing about, I love these players, but I know that their time is temporary with the team, right? So like I have multiple Angel City kits. As Angela points to her.
We don't have to acknowledge that anyone else's playing time is temporary. These are the only 4 players that are going to stop playing ever. Everyone else is going to play forever.
Yeah. So yeah, like
nobody
none
gets
of
traded, nothing.
Nothing
stays.
None of the jerseys I have for any sports teams have a player name on them across the board. So
that's actually
tomato.
I think it's because I don't want to go through this trauma of like.
Well, aren't
she was on our team?
Yeah, good for you.
What's it like to, as I said to our friend Alyssa, after we found out she usually finishes every tube of chapstick that she has, what does it feel like to be perfect? Like,
I mean, you're just so much better than the rest of us. Good for you. You did
just
it.
Committing to the jersey, but not the player. And I'm over here like ride or die for these, I don't know, 30 jerseys I have.
I will
like framing Instagram posts.
Honestly,
I will say the way Eva mentioned, like, you know, when you're starting off with something, if you're brand new to a sport, you kind of just, you don't know where you're coming from, like you have no allegiances, and then you find that one player and you're like, yep, that's my favorite now, or like I'm following them. Getting into women's soccer and getting into that, you know, slight tangent off the retiring players because she's so young and like really kind of at the beginning of her career. But that's how June Endo was for me and my daughter. My daughter loves June Endo too. And so if it comes out, I have a friend / coworker who is in Japan at the moment. He's from Japan. I could not find an Endo jersey here. So that was going to be, if it happens, it'll be a Endo jersey, the Mount Fuji kit, the third kit that they had from the World Cup this year from Japan.
For those of you who are listening who cannot see, Eva and I are both sitting here, jaws dropped.
That is the perfect first jersey.
So if it works out, Endo will be my first kit. But we'll see how it goes.
So deserving, if true. You know now, though, that, like, you can't buy... So, like, if this doesn't work out, you can't move on to a different player. Like, June has to be your first, still.
Yeah. So I just might not ever have a player jersey at all. But
that
so going from...
Okay, I gave you a lot of grief for it, but... You know, your body, your choice. If you don't want someone else's name on your back, that's your prerogative.
I even the like custom jerseys that we saw recently, I was like, oh yeah, it's cool, but I don't even want to put my own name on it. I just want a blank one. So going from this international player, let's talk about the final person on our list, which is the player with the singular name on our list. Marta. So
here you are not wanting it and your own name on there, and she just says, I have one.
I have one
name. That's all you need to know, and you will know who I am.
And granted, all of the players that we've talked about so far are retiring completely from football, from soccer, both internationally and from their respective NWSL teams. Marta, though, is the one player on here that, although is going to continue playing or has not mentioned anything about the NWSL team she plays with, she is retiring from international football, World Cup football. There was an interview where they asked her about her retirement, and she said, and then they kind of floated the Olympic question, and she's like, she corrected them. She's like, I said World Cup.
Yep.
The Olympics are next year, so she still got it in her to do that.
She's such a great troll. She's so good at trolling.
And I will say, because I am already getting incredibly emotional, Marta cries all the time. So if she can do it, I can do it. She cries all the time. She cried before the World Cup, during the World Cup, after the World Cup. Every interview, she's got like sparkly eyes. So
that is the best defense for crying at any given time. Well, Marta
that's
cries.
Gonna carry me for the rest of my life.
So school me on Marta here, because I mean, like I said, literally all of these players, my introduction to them has been the NWSL really since like last year. And, you know, even though I did loosely follow the women's national team, you know, and I knew the name Ali Krieger, I knew Rapinoe, I knew Ertz, I didn't know them. I just knew they were players, right? So like, I'm still learning about all of these players. Marta, I know the name, but just like everybody else, I still need to be schooled on Marta. And I know she's huge. I mean, your first note here is she's your favorite player's favorite player.
That's exactly it. Like, that says enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we are building the Mount Rushmore of women's soccer, and I would even also say the Mount Rushmore of soccer, period.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Marta is such a no-brainer. It just cannot be put into words what she has done for women's soccer. And not
And
just
for
the
international
advocacy,
soccer.
but like the level of play
Yeah.
has been ridiculous. And we're so lucky to have had her in the NWSL, or to have her, excuse me. She hasn't. No word on that yet. But I was lucky enough to be able to fly down for her first game in the NWSL. And, you know, when she got to Orlando, and there is something so magical about watching Marta on the ball. There's just this electricity of anything can happen, and whatever I think could happen is probably not going to happen the way any of us expect it to. She's going to do something just super freaking cool.
Yeah.
And you just want her on any team. Like, if you're making a best 11 that, like, for fantasy, whatever,
Marta.
you want Marta. We all want Marta.
Yeah, she's been so crucial to the development of soccer. And like Eva said, not even just women's soccer, but soccer as a whole, on even like on the American level, on the global level. Like, she is an icon across the board. Like, you could go to any country, and if somebody asked you who your favorite player was and you were like Marta, they'd be like, okay, yeah. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
No question, no argument, no nothing. Like, oh yeah, okay. Like, we have players now that have not lived in a world without her and without her influence. Here I go.
It's okay.
Like,
Marta tried to the World Cup.
As Angela points to herself and the waterworks coming.
I
got, like,
watched
4
it slowly
sentences out.
develop.
Like, she's just important. And to any like Latin, Hispanic, Portuguese, Brazilian person, like anyone who speaks Spanish or Portuguese, it's different. It's like, it's that level of different.
And I mean, lately I have been reading more about her, and, you know, I think in the vein of Rapinoe, where she's not backing down, she keeps fighting for what she believes is right and all of that stuff. Like, she's still fighting for, you know, equality and better views and everything from
pay and equipment and
in Brazil
areas
and all of that.
Yeah.
And getting those players up to par. So I think that is amazing. And I hope that she does stay in the NWSL, you know, a little longer. I mean, we at least get to see her in 2 weeks.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So
we'll talk about her even more.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, she's going to be one of the players that I spotlight on the Orlando episode. So too bad for you if you're mad about it. Like, I think about Marta any chance I get.
Yeah, and I think something that gets talked about a lot, but also at the same time we don't talk about it enough, is her role as a mentor for the younger generation. And I know The Athletic a couple years ago, I think, did an article about her and how she relates to, you know, younger teammates and passing the torch. And they talked about how whenever she is talking to a younger teammate, she like puts her arm around them. And now I'm getting choked up. Wow. I talk too much shit. But, you know, and just the fact that she makes herself so available and approachable to everyone. And she carries so much of the weight of women's soccer on her shoulders and has for a very, very long time. And the fact that she still keeps herself so open to help and that there's no part of her that's like, I just need a minute. You know, she's just always available to younger players, whether they're on her team or not. She just seems like the best teammate in the world. And, you know, I think whenever she fully retires, you know, it's gonna be a tough day for the WOSO community.
Yeah, to kind of put it into perspective for anyone who's followed soccer as a whole and maybe not women's soccer, just men's soccer, she's been compared like her whole career to Pele. And she is known as Pele in skirts. Like, she is that level of honor in the soccer community, in the Brazilian soccer community. Like, it's like that, where it's like, oh no, she's a life-changing once in a lifetime player. Like, the Pele with skirts was like, she was dubbed that by Pele himself. So it's not like, oh yeah, that's the kind of thing. It's like how Jewel Lloyd on the Seattle Storm is called the Gold Mamba because Kobe called her the Gold Mamba. Diana Taurasi's the White Mamba because Kobe bestowed her that title. You know, it's that kind of thing where it's like, oh no, you have been handed this torch by prior icons of the game.
By the namesake of.
Yeah.
Women's soccer looks completely different without Marta, and not just for Brazil, but globally. And at every level, she's had such an impact in every part of the game, all over the world.
So we made it through our list of amazing players. Only a few tears shed, which is, you know what, it's great to see the passion from both of you, and I'm I know from tons of other fans out there, and I feel lucky to be able to have experienced a lot of these players, you know, playing with us, playing against us, being able to see them and being able to see this caliber of players, right? Like the NWSL is really one of those top flight destinations for women in the sport, and hopefully we keep it going that way so that we keep getting more of these amazing players playing here and not have to fly to freaking Europe to go watch a bunch of them.
Exactly. The international draw of the NWSL is growing again, and it's really cool because I think for a hot minute when all of the bad stuff was happening in the league, it rightfully so dissuaded a lot of women from coming here. And I think we're on the upswing from that, especially with Chicago getting the ick out, like I said, and really turning a corner of all of this in the last couple years. But we did.
Yeah, and Marta, you know, giving the league her stamp of approval. and leaving Sweden to come play here was huge for the league and continues to be huge for the league. And she openly encourages, younger Brazilian players to come get into the NWSL.
Yeah.
And
that's why there's
so many
Brazilian players.
What?
Oh no, that's why there's so many Brazilian players in the league right now.
Yeah.
Is because of her. That's it.
Yeah, like
that's
Davinia, Carolyn, even thinking back to Camilla or Monica for the Orlando fans.
Brazil just produces all the single name players.
Yeah.
Listen, when you're that cool, you're that cool. But she, she's talking very specifically about the NWSL. She has given so much to this league in a pretty short amount of time, and this league is extremely lucky to have her.
Absolutely.
All right. So with all of that, thank you everyone for joining us on this footy talk and therapy session that Casual FC brings you every single time. If you've listened all the way, it's because of the amazing players, and also thank you. So you might already like us. You might like what we're doing. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button anywhere you're listening from: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, blah, 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 blah. Go ahead, check us out at casualfc.com for all the pod links to a bunch of places. Some of them I ain't even heard of, but you probably listen from. Follow our socials on at Casual FC Pod on everything: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, X, which is Twitter. You get it.
I will call it Twitter until it has.
You can pry that bird from my cold dead hands.
Exactly. I will tweet until I can no longer tweet.
And as we've mentioned before, we do have merch. We do have merch.
We are continually adding more merch. Just shop.casualfc.com.
Yes, and there's actually going to be a Casual FC equal parts whatever I just said, right? Equal parts therapy session and footy talk, something like that. I don't know. Go check it out. Go to shop.casualfc.com and you'll see it. And as we've mentioned before, Eva is a drummer, an amazing one at that.
Yeah.
So Eva, let's give you a little platform here. Let's plug you in. Plug you in.
What have you got coming up, huh?
Oh no. I'm so used to not talking and just playing drums. So now I gotta keep it together and talk for a couple more seconds. You can find me at Eva Plays the Drums. It's very hard to remember. I'm so sorry for that. So a little bit slower in case you're trying to write it down. Eva Plays the Drums.
We'll also tag you on our socials with that.
Yeah, if still don't get it, just slide into Angela's DMs. She'll, feel free to ask her as many times as you have to until she replies.
I will brag about you as much as I can. So give me the excuse. Let me know. It's my favorite.
I do have a show coming up on September 30th, which I know is the season ticket holders event. I don't know. We don't have information on the event yet, so I don't know if it's gonna, cross each other or not. But if you are free, September 30th at 8 p.m., I am playing at Hotel Ziggy for an event called The Gay Agenda. If you are listening to this podcast, I assume you're on board with that. If you're not, I don't know what is here for you, but I'm playing with noted ACFC fan Britt Cussero. So go to the season ticket holder event, then come to us. If you're not a season ticket holder, skip the season ticket holder event, still come to us and come say hi.
That's awesome. Okay. And then the last little plug that we always have is, if you feel so inclined, help supporting the pod by sharing the pod, sharing an Instagram post that we have, hitting the subscribe button. There's many different free ways you can help us. Or if you can, support us by buying some merch or by buying us a coffee. So if you check out on our socials or go to the link buymeacoffee.com/casualfcpod, you can always, throw a couple bucks for us in our little virtual tip jar. So yeah, with all of that, thanks for listening. We'll see you on the preview for Orlando, and we'll talk more about Marta there, and hopefully hold back the waterworks.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Well, I got a lot of it out today, so I think we'll be okay.
And with that, bye.
Bye.
All right.